Hello all, welcome to the Performance Podcast. And it's my pleasure to be doing this podcast with my senior from the forces and a fellow veteran, Colonel Gaurav Dutta. And I am Dr. Ameya Kagali, an ex-Army Medical Corps veteran. And we are happy to shoot this podcast at my very own center, the Krida Human Performance. And over to you, sir.
Hi, I am Colonel Gaurav, a veteran of 32 years now, and Director, Person First Foundation, a foundation meant for people with disability who want to go above and beyond. Between Ameya and I, we share a fantastic bond of being there with and for the para-athletes of the country, and whatever we can do for them in our little way is our way of showing the appreciation for everything they do.
That's wonderful, sir. I mean, as I said, it's my honor to just stand in the same frame as Colonel Gaurav is, as I said. And my journey in parasport started actually by chance, and I didn't have to choose para chose me. I was one day in the Sports Authority of India as the medical officer in the same campus and with the hockey team. But then I just saw some brilliant individuals, Mariappan and Nishad and Tekchand and these guys practice throwing from a wheelchair. And I thought they're doing something recreational until the head coach there, Mr. Satyanarayan Rao, he told that no, this is serious competition and they'll be heading to the Paralympics, which is followed 3-4 weeks after the Olympics. And I got interested in that line of sport. And till this day, I can't be more thankful for that opportunity that I've got to do something in parasport. How about you, sir? You have raised the Army Paralympic node.
Well, my journey started sometime in 2008 when I participated in the International Wheelchair and Amputee Sports World Games 2009 held here in Bangalore. And golf was introduced for the first time then. And we were 3 Army officers representing the country. That is when we realized that in this huge contingent of parasports representing India, there are no soldiers. While the Army is one of the biggest, I don't know if it's appropriate to say, creators of disability in the country apart from the nature. And that is when we petitioned the armed forces, the Army headquarters, to have a policy wherein the soldiers with disability could represent the country and formally wear services on their backs.
Wow.
And of course, if you want a team, then you want a facility to train them.
Absolutely.
And that is how, with an informal beginning in 2015, the Army Paralympic node was formally raised in 2018.
Wow.
With a small core of 15 soldiers and officers. People saw us after the Nationals in Jaipur when the media was all full of a team of about 14 people winning 22 medals. Wow. That is when the Army realized there is some potential here. And that is when all the support started coming.
Wonderful.
I had the honor and pleasure of living the dream which I had seen with open eyes, raising the Army Paralympic node.
Wow.
What more does one want?
That's quite an achievement. And even beyond the Army campuses, there are so many people in India who are living with disability. And I think post-Tokyo, I have been associated with the Paralympic Committee of India since the Tokyo Paralympics and the chief medical officer there. So from then to now, I've seen the way people look at them. It's not out of their impairment or what they can't do, but they look at them as proper, hardcore, competitive athletes. And that's the most heartening thing for me to see. So in this regard, of course, the soldiers, and you would know, sir, the Paralympic Games was started again by an Army doctor, and the father of Paralympic movement was Dr. Ludwig Guttmann. And his contribution was very similar when they wanted to take in athletes or soldiers who were fit. Maybe on a Friday they went to war and then they lost a limb or something and they were bedridden from the next day onward. So mentally they were still athletes, they were still fit, but due to unforeseen circumstances, things went haywire and then they had to resort to the bed, but not for too long, right? You can't keep a soldier off duty for too long. and some kind of activity has to be there.
See, for the simple reason, a man who was a fighting force yesterday does not really become redundant today just because he's lost a body part.
Yeah.
He still has the same mental strength and the physical strength.
Yeah.
You channelize it correctly and you get a Hokato Sema winning a bronze medal at Paris.
Yeah. By the way, Hokato is a serving army soldier and who made the country proud and the armed forces proud at the Paris Paralympics. And I mean, so many examples, right? I mean, a medal is just like the epitome of success, they might say, in other sport. But when these guys take the field, the way they lead their lives, the way they get up in the morning, I think it's high time that we also, as able-bodied, we need to be grateful of what we are doing. And getting up, showing up, even brushing our teeth is challenging for them. But still they do up and they show up. And that's one thing, you know, they are not meant to inspire, but they just do that by just living and not wanting to play sport as such. Correct me if I'm wrong, sir.
To be honest with you, I don't think any parasports person is doing it to inspire anybody.
Yeah.
They are just doing it because they love doing it. It is something they are enjoying. It's something which is giving more meaning to their lives. They are able to contribute to the society and in a way make the society understand that disability is not something which needs to be shunned.
Yeah.
There is already a paradigm shift happening in this country, wherein, as you mentioned, people have started looking at para-athletes as a force to reckon with.
Yeah.
And the media, the government, everybody is giving them as much support as they give to the Olympians.
Yeah.
And
in fact, more sometimes.
Yeah, in fact, more. And people may say that the competition is not fierce, but let's be honest. There is Marcus Rem who jumped 8 meters 48, more than the Olympic jump in long jump. So
yeah, there you go. You have the stats, right? I mean, and I'm just talking the talk, to be honest. But this man has walked the talk, and he's talking. So he's a veteran, and of course, he's also a para-athlete. For those who, like, sir will not mention it out loud, but I think it's my responsibility to do so. He's an amputee himself. He's a triathlete. He's played, I think, every sport under the sun. So yeah, and I've had the honor of again sharing the room with sir at the Paris Paralympic Games at the Games Village, and we've had some wonderful camaraderie. And when we just go and see them, sir is into water sport. So I'd like to ask, sir, what would be, like, you know, your administrative take on how the games are held in our country?
Our country has a bit of an issue of accessibility when it comes to the facilities. I'll just give you a small example specific to rowing, because I work with the Rowing Federation of India for developing para-rowing. We have got 6 centers across the country, but there are only 2 centers which are accessible.
Wow.
One in Hyderabad, and one is a very restrictive facility of the Army Rowing Node, where civilians literally actually cannot have a free run. So,
you want to amalgamate, maybe?
the work is going on.
Yeah.
The Rowing Federation of India has just gotten into a partnership with IIS for the women Olympic team. Wonderful. And we are hoping that as the Paralympic movement is growing, and with the World Championship happening in September, October, Para-Athletics World Championship, I think more people will like to get into the ecosystem and better understanding will be there. So they would like to join into the celebration which we are having.
Wonderful. And then also from my part, it's just not like a doctor's role in any other sporting event. We would like to also touch upon some classification, if you would just like to tell the viewers what exactly is and how can people like me help.
See, the basic idea of classification, as we call it in parasports, is to have people with similar disabilities being able to compete together without any one of them having an unfair advantage. Each sport has its own classification system. Rowing has just 3 classes. It's a developing sport. Triathlon has 4 classes. Swimming has got 18 classes, and I think athletics has got around 18, 19.
Athletics has more than that.
More than that. I think somewhere 45 classes.
Yeah.
And it includes people with visual impairment, people with dwarfism, people who have got injury in the spinal cord, amputees, polio, and everything. So this is a kind of a system which gives fairness, a fair level playing field to people with various disabilities but similar abilities.
Yeah. And I think to make it, to simplify it, like we all see the Olympics, we saw the so-called able-bodied games. I mean, I'm a classifier myself. So then to put it as, you will not pitch a flyweight against a heavyweight, right? In boxing or in wrestling. So similarly, you're there to see competition. So it's unfair if an upper limb amputee or a spinal cord injury, they compete together. One has the unfair advantage in terms of purely impairment. So once the impairment is, as sir mentioned, it's similar, we are there to look at the competition. We are not there to look at what they can do or they cannot do. 100 meters, 200 meters, you take any event. In fact, there are certain events which have no parallels or no equivalence in the able body. For example, Bossia.
Yeah,
Bossia. It's picking up big time in India, and also it's not just about the amputees and wheelchair bound. So we have so many congenital anomalies, so which we train the kids, and even in an urban city like Bangalore, the pediatricians or the pediatric physiotherapist to train not just for the functional movement of a particular child who has a certain condition, but to aim for certain sport which they can go and excel in the future. And I think that's what we are having a summit on the 11th and 12th of July. Any comments on that, sir?
Yeah, the Parasport Summit 2025 is the first of its kind being held in the country, and the aim is to bring together professionals in the field to share ideas. People may not realize that, for a normal person, sports means a coach and an athlete. They don't realize that there is, even if there is one athlete and he has one coach, he's got 8 people supporting them from behind.
Yeah.
There are doctors, there are physiotherapists, there are masseurs, and, sports psychologists, whole lot of people who are there standing as a wall behind him and ensuring that he does not stumble at any moment.
He or she,
yeah, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the aim here is to bring together all these professionals, share their ideas, talk to each other, because we all work in different spheres, different cities, and each one has got different experiences. I think it's going to be a fantastic event.
Absolutely, and all for the professionals out there, like who are working even in a clinical environment, be it doctors, physiotherapists, psychologists, nutritionists. It's one way where you can challenge the knowledge that you already possess, and you can apply it in a very different way, because there are so many things that you have to unlearn. I've had to unlearn so many things. Basic human anatomy, which we study for a whole year in the first year of MBBS. I mean, there are so many finer aspects which, the athlete can tell you, or the para-athlete can tell you. They teach you actually how to examine, how to go about this. So you have to have a very strong foundation, and you also need to think a little out of the box as to how can I as a professional help these athletes get better performance-wise. And that's what we have, a good lineup of speakers. And
I'll give you a very small example of what you just mentioned regarding the innovation which a doctor has to do. You remember what happened in Paris when we were trying to measure our body statistics on that machine?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Techno gym.
I can take Ameya went and stood there and spent almost 2 days. And then he said, "Sir, you are most welcome."
I was 2 years younger there.
Yeah, then what he didn't realize was, the machine requires 4-point contact. And an amputee doesn't have a 4-point contact.
Yeah.
The foot.
It wasn't there. We couldn't measure it. Let's be honest. We don't know how old sir is actually. So these are the small things. Like even when you talk about sports technology, it's booming, and so many money is coming in sport and everything. But also somewhere it's the machines are important, but it's also the men and the women and the personnel behind the machine that drive what the machine can derive. And it's so important, to make it simpler, to feed it to the coaches and the para-athletes, and not be too overwhelming with all the data, which is available everywhere. And so I think that will be the focal point of the whole the conference that we are talking about.
Yeah, with Dr. Harini and Ms. Kirtana from Performance Doctor, your organization Krida.
And Person First,
my foundation, and Parishram Parasports Academy of Gopi.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a fantastic event with all 4 organizations helping the professionals coming together.
And this is conducted under the aegis of the Paralympic Committee of India. So we have the blessings of the government too, both the state and the center. And I think we hope to have a fantastic lineup, which we already do, and even the registrations are coming in really well.
Even better is that this event is coinciding with a big parasports event happening in Bangalore.
Absolutely.
And we will have some of the champions there talking to everybody.
Yeah, you can get a chance to interact with the para-athletes who've won medals at the highest level. Some are double, triple Paralympians. So I think it's pretty cool that, we're getting the ball rolling in the professional and the academic sphere, which was lacking, if I may say, until this point. And we look to make this a yearly affair, and thanks to all the people that you've mentioned, we look forward to having a good summit.
Ameya, as you are aware, during the Parasport Summit, we are going to be lucky to have amongst us one of the leading lights of the Indian Paralympic ecosystem, Deepa Malik. She is
Padma Shri?
She is a Padma Shri, she is a Khel Ratna awardee, she is
the first
woman silver medal winner in Paralympic Games. She is a mother, she is a mentor. What is she not?
And yeah, absolutely. And it's the lavish praises. She deserves every bit of it. And we are really honored that ma'am has just come out with her own book. And so it'll be a launch in Bangalore on the 12th of July. So we're really looking forward to host ma'am, and her presence will motivate quite a few of us.
It will be a great opportunity for young professionals to interact with her, to know about her journey. And
absolutely.
She's just an amazing personality to be around.
Absolutely. I think we just have those 3 words to say: bring it on. That's what the book is all about.
Yeah.